this is Esther with Discover Your Origins. You may have taken a DNA test and you wondered, what do you do with that, or what do you do next? You may begin to start thinking, well, maybe I need to research my family and figure out what to do, but you're just not really sure where to start. So I pulled together this blog article with some steps that you can take. I call it Family History for the Absolute Beginner. Because despite what you might think, family history does not start in a library archive, spending a lot of money on databases and online platforms. Family history starts with you. So I recommend, if you're just starting out in family history, is to write your own story. So write down important events, the day you were born, where you were born. Write down memories and stories of other major life events. Write down the names of people that you know. So the best place to start is with you. This is the best place to start gathering information. And it doesn't matter what your DNA ethnicity report is, or anything else that you might know. And I have a guide and a link to how to write a life sketch. You could write a life sketch for yourself. You are the best person to tell your own story. The next step is to ask questions. So ask family members, parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings, the same questions that you asked yourself. Start to gather birth dates, places, record major life events, get copies of pictures, and write stories. So you may interview a grandparent and ask them a story such as, how did you and grandpa meet? Or what was it like when you were in school? Just simple questions to get them to start talking. And there are apps and different things you can do to record that, but write those things down and collect those stories. And you will start to gather a lot of information. And so you can start to record the information that you learn on a pedigree chart or a family group sheet. And I have a link in my article to some blank ones that you can just print out. So here's what a pedigree chart looks like. And person number 1 right here in the center is you. And then 2 would be your father, and 3 would be your mother. And then from there, you would have your father's parents and your mother's parents. And you just keep going. And you can make as many copies of these sheets as you need. A family group sheet looks like this. And so you would record, you can start with yourself if you're married and have children, or maybe you start with your parents, up here at the top with you and your siblings. And just record every bit of information that you can gather. Once you do that, you have a really good place to start on doing more in-depth research. So what if you're adopted, or you grew up in a different kind of home than a traditional family? That's okay. So a person who is adopted can have 2 family trees. You can have your adopted family and you can have your biological family, and just try to gather as much information. So regardless of what your family situation is, in an adopted family, the people who came before you in that family helped you become who you are. And a biological family also influenced you. And so you just have more family than some other people might have. And it's important to capture that story. And maybe you may not know your biological family. That's okay. With some sensitivity and asking the right questions, you can begin to know your biological family as well. And you can record all of that information in a pedigree chart and a family group chart. You may have separate files for adopted versus biological, but that's okay. That's all part of your story. So once you get some basic information down, you can begin to do some online research. And there are 3 basic platforms that you could sign up for. Family Search is a free online family tree program. And you can sign up for an account for free. And this is what it would look like if you start your tree. One thing to keep in mind about Family Search is that you do not have your own private tree. It's a wiki style tree, which is shared with the entire world. And that means that the information that you put on the tree may get changed by someone else. And so just as long as you're aware of that, you'll be prepared to know what will happen or could happen. And one advantage to Family Search is that it prevents duplicate research. It saves time because there's only one profile for each person that ever lived in the world, and in theory and ideally. And so once you connect to that person in your tree, then that is kind of done in a way. I mean, you need to research and verify it, but it helps things kind of move along a little faster, maybe. And Family Search provides record hints and other things to help you as you go along. Another online platform is called Ancestry.com. Ancestry.com provides DNA testing, and it also provides you the ability to create your own family tree. You can create private trees, you can create public trees, but your tree is yours. So unless you give permission to somebody else, only you will be adding or changing information on your tree. This may be really useful if you're working out an adoption or biological family situation and you're not really sure, so you can keep it private, which is good, depending on your situation. You can also make it public and searchable, and other people can see your tree. There's advantages to either situation. Ancestry is really good at providing record hints very quickly, and if you also have done a DNA test, it provides you hints for biological relationships that you can research. And I won't go into all the step by step, but just know that Ancestry is really great for DNA and also building trees. It does have a monthly subscription charge, so some people will sign up for a period of time and then stop it or whatever. It just depends on what level of research that you want to get into. The next platform is MyHeritage, and MyHeritage has a lot of features that are very similar to Ancestry. It visually looks different, but they also have a tree, and they also provide DNA testing that you can also combine with your tree. They also provide record hints to help you build your tree. And so there are a lot of tools there. There is a monthly subscription charge as well, and so it depends on how much you feel like you want to invest. Both Ancestry and MyHeritage do have some free databases that you can access without paying a subscription, and both of them I think will allow you to register and sign up and start a tree and get started without paying. MyHeritage does limit you on the number of people you can add to your tree for free, but it is a place to start. There are other options out there as well besides online platforms, but I'm just introducing these because they have genealogical databases, like census records, birth records, death records, that kind of thing that will help you discover more information about your ancestors. So once you've kind of evaluated that and maybe you've signed up for one of those services, there are other options. So depending on how far you want to go, there are other online archives, historical societies, genealogical societies, and libraries. And, they all vary on what they have to offer and the costs and accessibility and stuff. But as you get more into family history research, you'll start taking further steps. Where at that point, you finally do start going into libraries and archives and stuff to research your family. So once you get that far, what do you do next? Family history research can be fun, it can be addicting, and pretty soon you'll find that you're spending hours looking at your family and building your tree. And you'll begin to feel a connection to your family as you discover more about your family origins. It's kind of hard to describe what that feeling is, but it's kind of a sense of belonging, a place in the universe, of knowing who you are and where you came from. And you may start to collect those stories and share them with other family members. And depending on your family, and it may be easier or harder to research. It really will depend. And so you may want to take classes and workshops, and maybe even get some one-on-one coaching. Another alternative is to hire a professional researcher to help you on areas of your tree that are more difficult. And if you have a DNA question, you may want to bring in a professional to help you, because that can be a very difficult thing to figure out. But regardless, the simplest thing to do is to start writing the story of you and what you know about yourself, and then go on with your parents. And that is really family history for the absolute beginner. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.